Few things are as important to a photographer as focus, and this means understanding and using the depth of field preview button. Here is a great exercise you can do outside to get a feel for what it offers. You'll need your camera and favorite lens, a bright sunny day, a table to shoot at, and 3 water bottles. Set the bottles up on the table and place them several inches apart. Whether or not the bottles have water in them doesn't matter. What does matter, however, is that your subjects won't move throughout the exercise. Place them carefully on that sturdy surface, no more than 12 inches apart. It's also important to angle their placement, as your ultimate goal will be to see all 3 water bottles in the viewfinder at one time. Once you've got your water bottle set, it's time to play. Strangely enough, however, we're not going to take a photo right now. Rather, we're going to look at the front of our lens. Hold your camera up to the sky and take a peek at the size of the aperture you are now using. You can see it clearly through the lens. What you're looking at here is the aperture itself. Take a moment though and set your largest aperture setting in camera. In this lens, it's f3.5. Remember, big holes are represented by small f numbers. Now hold your camera back up and take another close look through the viewfinder. It's doubtful anything has changed, but let's change our aperture now to its smallest setting. In this lens, that's f22. Locate your depth of field preview button. It's usually found on the bottom right or left-hand side of your camera. If in doubt, check your camera manual, and keep in mind that some entry-level SLRs don't have one. To activate the depth of field preview button, press it in and hold it firmly. Don't let up. You might actually hear a small squeak at this point. Don't worry, your camera's not broken. You simply shrank the aperture. Release the button and raise the camera back up. You'll notice that the hole is still just as large as before, even though we have f22 dialed in. Now this is because your camera uses what's called an automated aperture system and will not shrink the hole until you take the picture or depress the depth of field preview button. So if you haven't done it yet, let's give it a shot. Keep the camera raised above your head, look one last time at that large aperture. Now depress the depth of field preview button and hold it in. Check out the difference it makes in the size of the aperture. It's quite startling. To really see what happens though, move back to the water bottles and line yourself up with all 3. Make sure you can see all 3 through the viewfinder now. Focus on the first bottle and take note of just how blurry the background appears. And realize, of course, that this is a lie. Remember, you have f22 dialed in, but what you're seeing is the depth of field associated with your largest aperture. To disengage the automated aperture system and see what your depth of field really is, push in your depth of field preview button and voila! Instant darkness. Yes, okay, no, I know. Granted, this happens. But you have to try to get past this darkness. You just shrank the aperture considerably. Of course it's going to get dark. This is how we get things in focus. We take away light. But look close at that image. Really dig deep into that darkness, and you'll see it. You'll see very clearly that you've got a lot more in focus now than what you did before. Keep in mind, adding the light back is not a difficult thing. You know how to do it. We just change the shutter speed or raise the ISO. It's not complicated, and we simply use reciprocity to get us back to the exact same light. But the difference is crazy. The difference between something in focus and not in focus. Oh my goodness, what a powerful tool the depth of field preview button is, especially when you consider that what you see through the viewfinder you can't trust. Keep in mind the most important part of all this, that your camera's automated aperture system is working all the time, and unless you push in that depth of field preview button, you have no clue what you're really going to get as far as depth of field is concerned, because the difference between that small hole and this one is huge. The truth of the matter is simple. Manual photographers use the depth of field preview button like it was the most important button on their camera, and guess what? It is. Stay in focus all, and good shooting.